All right. How is it going, everybody? My name is Sunny B, and I am your local friend at Room 420. Now, here I have joining me today is Earl Starkey, and he is a man who is also running for U.S. Senate with the legal party of legalized marijuana now, the legal party of Nebraska. Go ahead and say what's up, Earl.
How are you?
So, Earl is actually currently at a place called Panhandle Premier, right?
Yes, sir.
Over in Scotts Bluff, Nebraska. And they've been kind enough to let him go ahead and do the interview there. It's a little dispensary there. You guys should go check him out if you're in the area. Make sure you give him any attention that you can, all the attention that you can, because they got a pretty good selection, I hear.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Hell yeah. So, we're going to go ahead and kick this off and ask you a little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit about Earl Starkey. What does Earl Starkey like to do?
Well, I like to smoke weed, of course,
Of course.
you know, and take care of my grandkids, and just try to help everybody out and, do the right thing.
Absolutely. We love that. We love that. So, tell us about running for Senate. What do you got going there?
Well, I don't know, man. It was kind of weird. I just got a wild hair up, and I kind of got fed up with some things that the government's doing, the way that they're treating everybody, and so I said I was going to run for president, and then I was like, nah, I can't do all that, because yeah, it just too soon, too fast.
Who you recommend?
So I figured I'd run for U.S. Senate and see maybe if we can get some of the laws changed to better help Nebraskans and do what's right. Because like our country's in turmoil, and if people can't see it, they're blind. But uh, a lot of the medical stuff here in Nebraska, they voted it in, and then the legislature went in and chopped up the entire bill that we voted to have it, and they're dragging their feet. They haven't been able to keep any of the promises or anything that they said they were going to have in store at that time. And now the head of the Medical Marijuana Commission resigned 2 days ago, and now they're trying to find, they're taking applications for that position. And I sat down with, the one girl, Moling or whatever her last name is. I talked to her for about 2.5 hours one day back in June and explained some things to her about how Nebraska could be able to run medical marijuana. And she told me it sounds great, but the bad thing is we don't have the funding. So, it, they don't, honestly, they don't know what they're doing. And they need somebody that's like lived in Oregon or over in Colorado to be able to, that knows about how the laws were written and how that they should be able to apply them here in Nebraska.
Hell yeah. So you're being kind of like a man of the people and kind of just being a voice of the common man because like everybody around here is just like everybody's like so cool with weed already. Like it's so like everybody just like is like, "Oh, it's just weed." Okay.
Yeah, plus there's a lot of things that you can do even with like industrial hemp, which you know, you can make ethanol, you can make biodiesel, um, There's other things that you can do with it. Um, construction materials can be made out of it. There is a product called hempcrete, and the government, the way that they want to do things, as of November 1st of this year, a lot of the hemp will be killed, because of the way that the big beautiful bill was written. And when he reopened the government after their 43-day shutdown, they snuck it in there to where hemp is going to basically be illegal. Now, I did hear that Congressman Don Bacon from Nebraska was trying to do something in Congress, but I don't know if it's went all the way through yet. I know that they were trying to get 3 more years. But other than that, I'm not 100% sure with what's going on with that.
All right, all right. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot going on. I know there's been a lot of people that have been trying to do stuff and trying to get stuff passed, but there hasn't been a lot of fruition from it. Um, I do see a lot of now. Is it just for medical that you're going for the legalization, or are you also going for recreational?
Well, if Nebraska was to pull their head out of the hole and allow recreational to be legal, the taxes that they could do with it would significantly help the state of Nebraska. Um, in my opinion, recreational should be legalized along with the medical side. Um, you know, every state that's done it, they've always taxed it, and that's part of the problem with the federal government is they don't look at it like a business. They look at it that it's illegal. So if they looked at it like it was a business and they could tax it, because when you're working, you pay your taxes. They go to the feds, they go to the state. So why can't it be the same way with weed? You pay the feds, you pay the state, everybody's happy, and they're able to make the money. Um, I believe that Nebraska should have it like for recreational. A lot of people may disagree with me, but I would say 9 cents on the dollar. And if it was medical, maybe like 4 to 4.5 cents on the dollar. You want to keep the medical price lower because of the people that need it. You're trying to help them. Um,
Absolutely.
you can't build Rome in a day,
Absolutely.
and a lot of things need to just be done with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you touched a little bit earlier on the building aspect of hemp, and I was shown earlier some, I don't remember what they were called, but they were made with hemp, and they were like foundation blocks that were like, they were almost like cinder blocks, but they were like super compact blocks, and people were using them to build whole houses, and I was just kind of mind blown about that.
Yeah, that's a product of hempcrete. There's a company. I did some research. There's a company in Alabama that makes floor joists that are 100% hemp, and they're 2x10 and 2x12. And there are, that a lot of people don't know, but there are a lot of houses that are made out of hemp materials. Um, Canada, where they make a lot of the OSB or Norboard, whatever you want to call it, they make an OSB that's half-inch thick, that's strictly made with hemp. That it's kind of a special order deal, but it's way stronger than original OSB.
Yeah, and someone in the comments is saying that it's used for insulation as well. And I've seen stuff on that too, where it's been
Yeah,
used for good
there's a
insulation.
lot. There's a lot out there that hemp can be used for the building materials. We just got to be able to get the federal government or state governments all on board. You know, they they want to say that it's a drug, it's this. Well, man made booze and God made pot. Genesis 1:12. God gave us all the seed bearing plants and herbs to use, and that's what it's there for. Medically, recreationally, building materials, biodiesel, ethanol. Uh, there's a company in Washington called Whamma, and they make hemp underwear.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of different things. There's hemp clothing. There's a lot of different industries that can come from the hemp side. Then it's not just for smoking. It's everything. I mean, it's medicine to clothing. It's used so diversely that it's kind of and paper. Could be used for bags. Could be used for houses. It's like just it has such a wide variety of uses. It would be great overall for a lot of businesses.
Yeah, there's a gentleman that lives in Colorado. He owns a couple dispensaries, and they grow their own, and they take all the stalks and they turn it into paper. He has a hemp paper company where they make, their hemp cardboard boxes, business cards, greeting cards, regular paper. Uh, where he's located in Fort Lupton, he actually sells the paper to the school district. So, that's kind of a win-win right there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And
Now to be able to get, Nebraska on board like that would be significant. But it's too red and it needs to be green, but
yeah. Yeah. Everybody needs to think a little bit greener. I feel like that would be the way to go for everyone. Be a little bit more helpful. I feel like everybody would be a bit more relaxed too.
And then
yeah,
it's curious on how much these
Yeah,
tasty pups do.
because and I feel like people like with anxiety and stress, I feel like if they would try, I mean, like I know some people get super paranoid, but I also feel like amount, quantity, and quality
Thank you.
also really affects everything that goes into that. So I feel like there should be, I don't know, like for the people who need it, definitely some level of science to it with the helping amount and what kind helps what.
oh yeah. Um, Back in January of 2020, I lived back east in eastern side of Nebraska, and I used to deliver PLT, which is poultry litter treatment, to the chicken farms. And I got involved in a head-on accident, and I had dreams of the accident. And there was a kid that was with me, a buddy of mine named Kyle Phillips, and I was training him to be able to drive these trucks, and I kept having dreams of the accident, but Kyle had died, and so did I. So like I was witnessing in my dreams, I was seeing family members, and like it was totally weird, man. I mean, it's been 5 years ago, and I still have these dreams. And my therapist, um, Victoria, she told me, I mean, we talked and we did everything about it, but I kept telling her, I said, as long as I get stoned before I go to bed, I really don't have them. And the insurance company from the other driver, they wanted to put me on these pills, and I tried one time. Now, I took this pill at 10 o'clock at night, and I woke up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon the next day, and I thought I was drunk. And I told my attorney, I said, I'll never eat that again. And then to come find out it's a high blood pressure medication. Well, first of all, I don't have high blood pressure, so I don't know what the side effects were, but I know that I would never ever eat that again. So I just kept smoking weed. I mean, yeah, there's sometimes I'll have a little remnants of it, like maybe the impact, but I'm not watching a funeral anymore of my friend or of me, which is really weird because, you know, um, there was family members that have passed and I couldn't see their faces, but I knew who they were, and
That's messed up.
they diagnosed me with the PTSD, and I really was hoping that when it became legal here in Nebraska medically, I'd be able to get into it. But then they took the PTSD out as one of the qualifications, which is the dumbest thing in the world because, our veterans that have been to Iraq and been to Afghanistan and anywhere else in the world where they've seen that kind of horror, because I mean, that's what war is. It's horror and it's traumatizing. And to see that, and they come home and they have dreams or, they're so freaked out, that they can't walk out of the house or whatever. And if they smoke and it relaxes them and it brings them back down to earth and that helps them, well, if you're going to take the PTSD out to where it's a qualification, that hurts all of the veterans. That hurts anybody that's been diagnosed with PTSD because they want big pharma to, give you these pills so you don't have the dreams or you don't have that. But, big pharma is not always right. Like I said earlier, God put that plant on this earth for a reason. And we all know what that reason is.
Yep, to heal.
Yes.
To heal. It's got, well, not just to heal, it's got plenty of purposes. I saw somebody say in the comments that they were making guitars out of hemp even. I was like, wow.
Yeah. My son just started playing here recently in the last year. And I made a joke to him. I said, man, you need one made out of hemp. He went right online and there it is. They're kind of ugly, but they're making them out of hemp.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're not just like, and the cannabis is and hemp are like they both have multiple different uses. Like, it's not just a one trick pony. Like it's like we were talking earlier. It's got everything in the book you can almost do with it, from ethanol, biodiesel to pair of undies to keep your scroty warm. Like
Yeah.
there's so much that it can do, and it would help in so many ways. Like financially, it would help the state. It would help people with jobs. It would help everywhere.
Oh yeah. I hear everybody, they complain about property taxes, and a friend of mine, he was explaining to me, he says, yeah, they say they lower the property tax. Well, he said, well, maybe on the eastern side of Nebraska, they may lower their property tax. But then the western side, where the farmers and the ranchers are, their property tax goes up. So you take that legalization, and with the taxes that you're going to make off of it, you use that to where you don't have to raise property tax or any of that. It should be a certain amount. This is how much you own. This is how much you got to pay out. and call it good, you know. Um, I understand that that the state has to do things, but they need to do it the correct way to where it's not hurting us. And that's kind of what the point is, um, like Governor Pillen, he wants to take, what is it, $2.5 million away from the Department of Health and Human Services for caretakers that they go and they help disabled people and the elderly. He wants to wipe that whole program out so he can save $2.5 million. Well, if you legalize marijuana, recreational and medical, you don't have to eliminate that program. You'll have the money. And now, like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. But you look at Colorado, you look at Oregon. Uh, I used to remember the numbers for Colorado, but like in the first year that they had medical and recreational legalized, they made, I think it was in their first 6 months, they made like 12 million bucks, which is like, you know, astonishing, but that's what they voted in. They did it the right way, and everybody was happy, you know. I mean, you look at their roads, you look at their schools. They're not perfect, but they're way better than what Nebraska's are. You know, you take that money and you put it toward the schools. That's the problem with like Omaha and Lincoln. The cities tax the residents so that they can have that tax for their schools. Well, if you legalize marijuana and do it the right way, you don't have to do any of that. The schools would be taken care of, the roads would be taken care of. Um, Omaha has a thing called wheel tax that, you know, that money is supposed to go toward the maintenance of the roads. Well, I lived in Omaha for 53 years. I'm 56. I've been out west here for the last three. And honestly, the roads in Omaha, they're crap. You know, I don't know what they do with the money, but they sure didn't put it toward the streets.
I was gonna say I can attest to that because I've been to Omaha on quite a few occasions playing shows and whatnot, and it's just like you get to some areas and it's just like, oh, why is this has been under road construction since I was here 7 months ago.
Yep. Yep.
Same area
That is
has
very true.
potholes that's real bad, like that are almost like the whole length of the road.
Yeah.
Yep, they got some real bad areas up there.
Yeah. Dodge Street in front of UNO used to be very predominantly potholes. I haven't been back east in probably 6 months, but that's one reason I don't even like to go back there is because, you know, I mean, if you hit a pothole and it breaks something on your car, they're not going to fix it. You're out money out of your own pocket. Well, if the money that was coming off of the wheel tax was fixing the roads, you wouldn't have to worry about it. But, you know, it's the government, so that's how it goes.
Yep. Yep, and we all know can't beat them, join them.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I'm doing. But like, you know, I don't
No, but you see a
I
problem and
don't
you're approaching it the proper way and you're taking the proper course of action to actually have a voice and do what needs to be done for the industry.
well, I'm trying to. Like I was talking to a farmer this morning and I asked him, I said, now, you know, if these ethanol companies around here were to switch over from corn to hemp, would you grow industrial hemp for ethanol? And he looked at me and he's like, well, why would I do that? I said, well, first of all, uh, marijuana growing is you don't need no pesticides. You hardly have to use any water. The carbon sink for the ground is like perfect. I said you'd be able to get two to three crops a year, compared to you get one crop of corn. I said, corn produces 340 gallons per acre of ethanol compared to industrial hemp, which produces 640 gallons per acre. So it's almost double, and he just looked at me and he's like, well, how do you know all this? I said, I've done enough research that, you know, um, that's the way things need to go. We need to quit using that corn. That corn can be used for feed, for anything else besides ethanol. You know, uh, I mean, common sense. If you can use a plant to almost double your production of ethanol, why are you not doing it? You're stuck on corn. I mean, I understand that Nebraska is the second biggest producer of ethanol, with Iowa being first. But if they were to use hemp instead of corn, oh, it'd be just tremendous. The farmers would be able to make good money. I mean, if you could make three crops a year with industrial hemp for your ethanol, they're making way more than they would be with corn, because for corn, they have to sit there the whole season. With hemp, you don't have to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, sir. So we've talked quite a bit about the marijuana side of things. And I feel like now I should kind of ask, what is your course of action gonna be to try and win Senate?
I don't know. I'm going against a millionaire. Pete Ricketts is a millionaire. Um, he didn't really have to fight to get the Senate seat. He was governor, and him and Pillen were friends. Pillen used to sit on the regents board for NU, and Ricketts has some investment in Pillen's hog farms, and when Ben Sass had to quit, well, he didn't really have to, but he did. And he quit. He didn't want to be state senator no more in Washington. So he went to work in Florida, and Ricketts seen his opportunity to be able to get in. So he gave like a $5 million donation to Pillen's political run for governor. And when Pillen won, he appointed Ricketts to the Senate. So it's kind of, there's a little iffy there, but if you've got money, it's going to help you. Me, I have me. I don't have no campaign manager. I don't have no staff. It's just me, and I got to be able to prove to the people of the state of Nebraska that I'm here for them. Like, Ricketts is going down to Texas, down to the border, and I support President Trump with the wall and blah, blah, blah. Come on, man. Our country was made of immigrants. They all came through Ellis Island in New York. We're all immigrant, and nobody on this land that we're living belongs here except the Native Americans, because we stole this land, so we're all living on stolen land. Some people may disagree with me, but the thing of it is they were here first, and the white man came over here and we kind of tricked them. Here, we're going to give you all this alcohol and we're going to do this, and you give us your land. And that's what they did. And then the government said that we'll take care of them. Well, if we're taking care of them, let me back up a minute. We have taken care of them, but not the right way. I understand that the natives, some of them have casinos and everything. That's more power to you. You know, make your money, take care of your people. The government has failed you. The government has failed you to do that. Um, I have a lot of friends that are natives, and like when I was a kid, I didn't really like to celebrate Thanksgiving because I didn't feel that it was right. You know, I feel that it was more of a government holiday that, you know, like if you read in the history books, you'll see things where they say, oh, they were savages and this and that. Well, yeah, they'd never seen a white man before. So the further you pushed west, they lived the way they lived. They lived off the land, you know, and we need to be able to take care of them, and which we haven't. I mean, we can't take care of our veterans. We can't take care of the homeless people. You know, you go into Omaha and you'll see these hotels that are just sitting there rotting away. Well, come on, somebody take some money, invest it into that hotel, and turn it into a homeless shelter. You know, the homeless shelters that they got are not big enough. You know, they need to have more programs for veterans uh, to be able to do things because, you know, you teach a guy to go out and kill somebody and they go to war, then they come home and maybe they have PTSD, maybe they lost a limb, you know, but you didn't serve enough time to get full benefits. Well, that right there is not correct. You know, you have to be able to take care of your people. And honestly, we're not taking care of anybody. The rich are taking care of the rich, and the poor are trying to take care of the poor. And it's hard for the poor to take care of the poor because they don't have no money.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. And that's sadly how the cookie is crumbling right now. That's how everything is going on, and it's really rough to see things going like that. It really is hard to see things like that.
You know, Ricketts, you know, he's got this thing that, oh, marijuana will kill your children. Eh, I don't believe that. I believe alcohol will kill your children. You know, like I said earlier, also, man made booze, God made pot. You know, um, what's the lesser of two evils? You know, alcohol is a brainwashing uh, product that honestly, this might make a lot of people mad and hate me, but I wish there was prohibition on alcohol. You know, legalize marijuana. You know, prohibition on alcohol would be great because alcohol, all it's doing is killing people. Um, you, you get a DUI, it ruins your life. You know, you still go out and you go to the bar or whatever, you hang out with your friends and you're still out drinking. Oh, you get pulled over again. Oh, there's your second DUI. Now you lose your license for however long, you know. But then there's people that'll say, well, that can happen with smoking weed. Well, how many people have actually crashed their cars from smoking weed? I don't know anybody.
I can't
Most
say I
get,
know a whole lot of people.
yeah, most of them sit at the green light because they're too stoned to go forward. You know, the guy that's drunk, he'll just go right through the red light and then he kills somebody or injures them or kills himself or however it goes. But
No, I think
I,
that
I,
people who get high and drive are a little bit more paranoid to get in an accident because they know they're high. So they're like, oh, I know I can go right on red, but I'm going to wait for it to turn green.
yep, yep, yeah, I've done that. I've done that. You know, I just, I don't know. It's really hard for me to be able to do this. I mean, I'm trying, man. You know, I talk to people here, Minutair, Scotts Bluff, Bridgeport, Sydney, um, go down to Kimball and talk to people. but I'm currently, I can't work. I have to have spinal fusion. I have to get fused from my L2 to the top of my tailbone, and insurance premiums and everything. They want me to quit smoking cigarettes, which is the hardest thing in the world because, it's not addicted to the tobacco. I'm addicted to the chemicals that are in the tobacco. And I mean, I've slowed down, but once I get complete, then I'll be able to get fusion, but then I'll still be out of work again for another year. So it's like, I need to do something. So that's why I decided to run for US Senate because I'm tired of listening to the guys that basically, can we swear on here?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm tired of listening to the guys that talk the most shit out of all of these politicians that all they're doing is blowing smoke up everybody's asses. And you know, I don't I don't tend to do that. I tend to try to be honest with everybody over how everything is. And if the people of the state of Nebraska can't see that Pete Ricketts or Dan Osborne, which I don't know if he's even got enough signatures to be on the ballot yet, but if people can't see that these guys are not for Nebraska, I mean, I don't see them trying to talk to ethanol companies and switch it over to hemp to where farmers can get paid more, to where people can get jobs. You know, if you had a paper company here in Nebraska that used hemp instead of trees, because it takes what, 4 acres of trees to equal 1 acre of hemp when it comes to making paper. So that right there, that's a win-win. You're not cutting
Absolutely.
down trees. Plus, again, by growing weed, the carbon that it puts into the ground is way more beneficiary for the ground. It's perfect. Less water, no pesticides, you know. Uh, Nebraska needs to wake up. You need to look at how these other states are. Look at Oregon, what was it, 74, 75? They were first state in the United States to legalize marijuana for medical reasons. And if Nebraska was to adapt their system, it would, in my opinion, it would really work. You already have these dispensaries like this one here, Panhandle Premier. They should be able to get their license to be able to distribute medical. And, I feel that it should be run by the state in a way to where, you have co-ops. So you have these farmers that grow the medical weed. They take it to the co-op. The co-op dispenses it to the dispensaries. The dispensaries pay for it. Then, they sell it. The tax comes out. Everybody makes their money. Um, can Nebraskans see that? No. Some do. Some do. But then there's some that don't, and I really think that they need to open their eyes and see what these other guys are actually doing for Nebraska. Um, I watched a town hall in Columbus, Nebraska with Pete Ricketts. And I don't remember if it was the mayor or if it was a business owner, but one of them asked him about healthcare and how to lower the cost. And he went all the way around the block, man. He never gave these people a straight answer. And I'll be honest with you, I can't give you a straight answer because it's all about big pharma. The big pharma has to raise all these prices so it makes your health care go up. Well, if marijuana medically was there for you and you could use it, yeah, big pharma is going to lose money. Sorry to say it, but your health care costs should come down. you know, because you're using an herb that you can go right to the dispensary and get, you know. Now, not everything is going to be that way, you know, but when people have cancer, um, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4. And when the hospice people came in, this was back in 22, and the hospice people came in and they told me, they're like, well, you know, she's going to lose her appetite and blah, blah, blah. And with my mom's side of the family sitting there, I was like, so can I feed her edibles? And they were all, you know, they kind of looked at me like, what? I said, well, she's not going to be able to eat if I have her eat an edible and she gets high from it, then she's going to have an appetite. So can I do this? And the women, the hospice women, told me, Earl, do whatever you can to keep her comfortable. You know, so about the last 17 days of my mom's life, I fed her edibles every day so that she'd be able to eat, because otherwise she wouldn't. You know, and that was it. It really sucked because I watched my mother die. You know, there wasn't nothing I could do about it, but I tried, and I tried to keep her to where she ate. You know, cancer is a real touchy subject with me, because my biological mother died of cancer, and my mom who raised me, who's my mom, you know, so I've had two of the people in my life that that big C word took them both away from me. And you know, this may be a wrong thing to say, but you know, they say, oh, donate your money to the cancer research. Come on, man, you guys have been doing cancer research for 150 years and you still haven't found a cure. So quit blowing smoke up people's ass. You know, Tommy Chong, prime example. Tommy Chong had prostate cancer, oh, like 10 or 12 years ago. And they used, him and his wife used Rick Simpson oil to cover his prostate and concentrate. And what was it? I think he did it for 13 months and he went into a remission. So the oil was helping him. And then like 17 or 19 months later, it came back. But the thing of it is it shows you right there that the concentrated cannabis can work wonders on cancer. It can kill it. You know, he did have to go through a little bit of chemo, but he didn't have to go through such advanced stages of chemo because he used RSO to cover his prostate and try to kill the cancer. And, you know, if people can't see that, but you know, a lot of people aren't educated on it. They don't know. They just think, oh, it's weed. It's the gateway drug. No, it's not. Alcohol is the gateway drug. There's more alcohol in people's houses across the United States than there is marijuana. Well, maybe not anymore, but you know, back in the day, that's how it was put out there. You
Well,
know,
let's just say I've never heard marijuana compared to alcohol or liquor in any capacity, but there's been plenty of times that I've been at shows and I've had people walk up to me and ask for nose beers. And I'm like, dude, no, I don't. Get
yep,
out of here. It's like we don't, and it's like I truly do believe that alcohol is the gateway to that leads to worse and worse things, because when you're inebriated in alcohol, under the influence of alcohol, you are so much more prone to making horrible decisions, and you're not thinking clearly. Your cognitive abilities are completely impaired, and like
yes.
your rationality and reasonable decision making is completely gone. So you could most definitely step into really really bad situations under the influence of alcohol.
Yeah, that is very true because, you know, I mean, uh, I mean, I've smoked Williams Wonder. I've smoked Alaskan Thunderfuck. I've smoked some of the best weed in the world growing up. I mean, like I said, I'm 56. I've been smoking marijuana since I was 9. Um, and I have never, I have never had a bad experience. You know, yeah, one time I did do a bong hit and I held my breath too long holding the hit and I passed out. Whoop-de-doo, you know, I broke the bong. Whoop-de-doo. I didn't break myself or any of that, but I've seen people be drunk as fuck and they just walk right out in the middle of the street because they don't know where they're at and get hit by a car. You know, then you got 2 broken legs or broken pelvis or, you know, whatever.
Or God forbid somebody tries to drink and drive and they get into an accident.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because you know, you're gonna most likely kill somebody.
Yep, yep, and that's normally how it goes. I heard a story one time about a guy who woke up in a cell and he didn't know why he was there. He didn't know how he got there. He didn't know what the fuck was going on. And when he came to, he was like, "What are my charges?" And they said, "Well, you killed 3 people drunk driving."
Yeah.
And he was just like beside himself because he didn't remember any of it. And now he's held accountable for something that he did while he was drunk. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he shouldn't be held accountable in any sense. I'm saying absolutely. If you're going to drink and do that, then you should probably fucking deal with the consequences of it. But it's just sad to see that alcohol was the cause of that.
Yeah. You know, and that's like, you know, I was talking to a buddy of mine and we were talking about, you know, back in the day. So when, no, this is back in the 20s and the early teens and stuff like that, marijuana was legal. You know, heroin, cocaine, all of that was legal. But prohibition came along and alcohol became illegal and all the drugs were legal. And then what was it? 29. I think it was 29, 27 and 29 is when they put a squash to all of that, you know, with heroin being legal. I've seen old pictures in San Francisco on Haight and Ashbury where there was a guy that like, you know, how the girls used to walk around back in the day and they had cigar boxes. Well, this guy had syringes with dope in it, you know, man-made synthetic dope, you know, because it heroin comes from a poppy seed, so you have to break it down so it's man-made, and you know that was legal back then. And then they did that. They had the prohibition of alcohol, and then they turned the prohibition of alcohol over to where alcohol was legal, and they put prohibition on marijuana and all the man-made drugs, which, you know, I can understand all the man-made drugs. That synthetics, I'm not down for. Don't get me wrong, you know, I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your ass and say, oh, I've never done it. Well, one thing, I've never done heroin. All the other powders, yeah, I've tried them. Yeah, I liked them. But you have to grow up sometime in your life and understand that shit's going to kill me. So let's leave that alone and let's just stick with what's natural and you just smoke weed.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's how life is. But I think a lot of people should actually watch the movie Reefer Madness just so that they can get a good laugh, because it was based on that, you know, that it was the bad drug and everything. But if you actually watch Reefer Madness, it's really kind of funny. I mean, there are some things to it that make sense, but if you look at it now, you're like, oh no, there's no way, you know, this don't happen to you, you know, or that. But and then you just have to come together of the time and era. That's 100 years ago. We've evolved 100 years since that movie. So everybody else should evolve with it, you know.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Well, Earl, we are closing in on 1 hour for the stream. So I'm going
All
to
right.
ask, what is your message that you want to deliver running for U.S. Senate?
I'd like the people of Nebraska to give me a chance to be able to put jobs into the state of Nebraska and be able to help the people that need to be helped. Our veterans, the homeless people, the natives. The Omaha tribe is trying to open a dispensary. I think they have, but then, you got that attorney general and the governor that are just bitching at them about, oh, you can't do this. And we will arrest people that come up to your reservation and buy this. Well, hold on, man. That has to do with the federal government. You guys are the state, so you can't run your mouth about any of what they're doing, But I'd like the people of Nebraska to give me a chance. I mean, yeah, I'll go to Washington for 6 years, and it needs to be somebody that's not a politician. I mean, I'm not a politician, man. I'm just your average guy that grew up doing stupid shit, and I've learned from it. And the things that I've learned, I think could better the people of Nebraska. It could better the youth. There needs to be things for kids to do, instead of walking around with their pants sagging down to their ass and toting a gun and, oh, I'm this and I'm that and I'm this gang member. Man, you're a human being. You ain't no gang member. That's stupid shit. Get that out of there, Be a kid.
Absolutely. Yep. I 100% agree with that one. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, did you want to show anything off from Panhandle there?
Yeah, I can. They've got pre-rolls up here, like donuts and then munchies, and then they've got these ones up here, and then they've got these are sativa, indica, blue raspberry, diamond hash infused. So I mean, they got nice pre-rolls in this place. And then
Absolutely. Make sure you guys go check out Panhandle Premier in Scotts Bluff, Nebraska.
They've got nice, their THC. You can see that. I mean, look at the crystals on this.
Those all look really good.
This is all good here.
Oh yeah. Make sure you guys make your way there if you're in the area.
Oh yeah, these guys are great.
Absolutely.
And I thank them. I thank them for letting me come in here and do this. I could have done it at home, but my daughter just had a baby, so and then I got two other little ones running around, and I just didn't want to have the Rugrats, distracting us or anything like that.
Oh, it's
So I
all
figured
right.
I'd come here.
Well, it's not bad to interview and also promote a little bit of the cannabis industry while we're at it. So it's a good thing.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not a bad thing at all. I'm not complaining in any sense at all. So, but do you have any final words?
I just want everybody to do the right thing.
Absolutely, I agree. Everybody do the right thing. I couldn't have said it better myself. It's a great one. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Make sure you guys stay tuned and check out Earl Starkey. Go vote for the Legalized Marijuana Now Party of Nebraska. Go vote Earl Starkey for U.S. Senate. Make sure you guys go check everybody out. Make sure you check out Panhandle Premier and Scotts Bluff. And also, thank you guys for coming out. I really appreciate you guys once again. And until next time, those